it's put up or shut up time for KLS in the Penn State receiver room. Welcome to For the Bloggy Spotlight, a new series where we pick one topic, dive in head first, and unpack it thoroughly. What better place to start episode 1 than with number 1, KeAndre Lambert-Smith. On that note, I'm going to swish and swizzle my fingers around my little crystal ball here, and no, that's not a euphemism, and do some prognostication on what we might expect from number 1 in 2024, and which receiver position maximizes his production for the Nittany Lions.
Aller goes back, loads it up, long and deep, far sideline, Lambert-Smith makes the catch at the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Penn State!
Step number 1 in that process is getting on the same page about some definitions, starting with what is a slot receiver. These guys line up inside the wide receivers, usually split back a step or two from the line of scrimmage so they don't have to worry about beating a press. They're usually afforded a free release at the line. They're often the hot read, meaning the quarterback's safety valve in case of quick pressure. They need to be exactly where the quarterback anticipates them being at any given moment, because if that ball's coming out hot, he's going to end up throwing it to empty grass, or worse, someone in a wrong colored shirt. Slot receivers make their money with shiftiness, change of direction, and football IQ. Consider the juke route for a moment. This is an option route that starts with a basic hitch, but depending on how the defender plays him, the receiver has the freedom to run himself open. Once they get sick of the easy nickel and diming, they'll start to crash on him, at which point he'll read their leverage and react to it. If they're playing him outside, he'll continue towards the middle of the field like a dig route, and if they're playing inside, he'll pivot back to the outside and daylight. KLS is decently agile with his cuts, but what makes him special as a route runner is the ability to accelerate out of those cuts. Running out of the slot, he spends most of his time matched up on nickel corners, guys who are built for shiftiness, not necessarily long speed, so once he starts running away from you, good luck catching up. KeAndre's played progressively more and more in the slot each year he's been at Penn State, peaking this past season at just over a third of his snaps, according to Pro Football Focus. This past year, KeAndre led the team in targets out of the slot, but he was only 3rd in yards per route run and 4th in passer rating when targeted from the slot. When you look at some of the guys who excel in this role at the next level, a clear disparity shows up as far as body type goes. Juju Smith-Schuster is 6'1", 215. Our old friend Parker Washington is 5'10", 212. Cooper Kupp, 6'2", 208 pounds. KLS at 6'1", 185 is a tad skinny to be able to consistently go over the middle as a long-term career path, but his build is fine for the here and now. I just think his elite straight line speed would be mostly wasted out of the slot. It's not like you can't get vertical from the slot. We all remember the play that won the Indiana game, the slot fade there to KLS, but typically pass catchers are given less opportunities to stretch defenses from the slot. But speaking of getting downfield, that's a good segue to our conversation of outside receivers. I'll start with the X receiver here. This guy is often ISO'd up on one side of the line of scrimmage with the tight end, slot, and Z receiver on the other side. Because the X is usually on his own, he needs to be able to get himself open. He can't rely on schemes to draw attention away from him. The X will usually be up on the line of scrimmage. He doesn't have that buffer step that the slot receiver has, so the X receiver does have to be able to beat a press. The X receivers of yore, the Calvin Johnson types, traditionally did this with a combination of size and strength, but you can also get away with being a finesse guy if you have quick, deceptive feet. As addressed previously, KeAndre isn't a size guy, and truth be told, he's more fast than quick. The best press beating tool KeAndre has is his speed, in that guys are afraid that he'll get on top of them if they get up in his face. So it's the best defense is a good offense situation. In my view, he's just not a world-class separator, not yet anyway. That's something that can certainly be honed with time and effort. But with his ball skills, he can still make it work from time to time. Lest you think I'm just a hater, he has flashed some of these things. I'm going to break down this play from the Michigan State game in 2022. And here you see him lined up as an X receiver here on the left with the tight end, slot, and Z receiver on the opposite side. He's going to run a simple bench route here with an inside stem, and then he's going to cut to the outside there, and we'll get a better look at it on the replay there. You see from the setup here, the corner is playing him pretty much straight up. At the beginning of the play, Dre's going to jump to the inside to get the corner to open his hips to the inside. He's going to try to follow him over the middle of the field, but in fact, Dre's going to actually cut back the other way. You see strong hands there to push off, strong legs on the cut, strong acceleration out of the cut. The corner almost falls to his knees. He can't keep up with the agility. And the pass comes in a little high, but Dre can go up, bring it down. And he's just going to get out of bounds there, hold on to that ball. Strong hands at the catch point, but also strong hands to push off, to fight through that corner trying to shut him down there. and then it's all about the acceleration out of the cut that makes this happen. If KLS can keep working on his footwork, his agility in those cuts, and keep building up his upper body strength too, his ability to fight through some of those jams, he'll not only have what it takes to highlight a unit at this level, but he'll be able to shine as a number one at the next level as well. The last word on the X receiver, because this guy is ISO'd up a bunch, he's often a key piece in run blocking. There tend to be less defensive resources on the X's side of the field, so if the offense is running his way, and if he can seal his edge or get a hat on the defender in his face, he's probably going to be putting a lot of green in front of the fat man or the singleton, turning what could have been a short gain into an explosive run, and turning what would have been an explosive run into a touchdown. Speaking of explosivity, that's another good transition, funny how that keeps happening, to the Z receiver. These guys are long striding gazelles. They're not going to break down quickly or efficiently. You don't have to worry as much about comebacks. So once they take off, you can pretty much turn your hips and run with them. Like the slot receiver, Zs also need to possess a high football IQ. Here's an example on a switch concept from last year's OSU matchup, where KLS correctly flattens his route to avoid running right into the teeth of a hungry safety. It's a heads-up mid-play decision. The dude takes a bad angle, and the rest is poetry in motion. Z receivers tend to be deep threats, the guys you think about when you talk about taking the top off the defense. In your typical 3x1 formations, he'll draw the safety's attention, loosening things underneath for the tight end and slot receiver. Verticality is the name of the game here, both in terms of getting down the field, getting behind the defender, getting past them, and then verticality also at the catch point, so getting above the field, getting above the defender, the ability to win off the ground, whether through height, length, or leaping ability. These guys tend to have above the rim skill sets with strong hands. KeAndre shows wonderful concentration and ball tracking, which is not easy to do when you're moving as fast as he does. PFF charged him with 4 drops in 2023, and 3 of those came from the slot, so he's pretty dependable as an outside guy. He actually led the team in targets 20 yards or more down the field with 14, more than triple the next on the list. He only caught 4 of those 14 passes, but 3 of them ended in the end zone. Don't look up this word in any dictionary, but the Z receiver's yak ability is in run away from you speed. Unfortunately, that usually has to be schemed up as opposed to the X, who's an ankle breaker and can create his own yak. KLS has a self-described low 4.340 time. I believe experts refer to that as O-bleep speed, and he leveraged that O-bleep speed into 6.3 yards after the catch per reception last year, which is another team-leading mark. KeAndre is well-rounded enough that he can and should play all over the field, but where he wants to play is no mystery. He committed to Penn State after a recruiting visit in 2018, the whiteout game versus Ohio State, in which KJ Hamler housed a long touchdown. KJ, who KeAndre now shares a jersey number with, played over 90% of his career snaps here in the slot, so I don't think I'm connecting dots willy-nilly when I say KeAndre seems to want to follow in those footsteps. According to Sports Info Solutions, in 2023, as a slot receiver, KeAndre was the 148th best receiver, ranked by points earned per route run. By that same metric, as an outside receiver, he was the 75th best receiver in college football. Like I said, the name of the game is maximizing production. I think KeAndre is more comfortable in the slot. That's where he envisioned himself when he committed to the program and to Coach James Franklin. He will have more opportunities to make plays there, just by virtue of his proximity to the quarterback and those being easier throws to make. But if he takes a long look at himself in the mirror, he'll realize he'll have better opportunities to make bigger plays on the outside, specifically as a Z receiver.